And you can look at who those people are interacting with. So Keith Ruboy is always interacting with that group. He's really great on Twitter. Benedict Evans from Andreessen Horowitz and Chris Dixon, very smart. Mark Andreessen probably tweeting too much about non-tech stuff, but when he does tweet about tech stuff, he's awesome. But if you want to know about economics and Britney Spears, like, he comments on that stuff too. How many mentors do you recommend a startup have? Kenya McInter. Good question. I guess you can never have enough mentors, but here's one of the things with mentors. Everybody's got an opinion, and you're going to get spun around. So I call this the pinball effect on young entrepreneurs, inexperienced entrepreneurs. They have a vision. They have a true north. They say, I think that businesses should be collaborating in a chat room, in a Facebook or Twitter or chat room like experience, like Yammer had that vision and Slack and HipChat had that vision. Now you go to people and they say, well, I think actually it should be a message board. I think it should be a mailing list. I think you should do this. I think you should do that. You get a ton of feedback. And what happens is the entrepreneur can say, well, I really respect this person, and maybe I need to switch and go to that direction. And then they bump into the bumper, and they get shot over here, and the next person who they respect tells them this. Bing, 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 bing. And all of a sudden, they lose the true north, the star they were looking at that was their guiding principle. Come up with a guiding principle about what you think needs to change in the world and hold to that. And then take all that feedback and, hey, maybe that could steer your direction, or you can take that information with you. You can write it down in a book. But I will literally have somebody go through the launch incubator. They'll have 20 investors that hear their pitch in the incubator minimum. They will get 10 folks in the incubator who will say, this is going to be a great consumer company. You should not try to make any money. Just focus on growing consumer engagement. And then the next 10 will say, you know what, I don't think this is really a consumer company. I would make, dispatch software for cab companies, and, Uber should be the dispatch service for cab companies. I literally had a VC say they would invest if Uber would not go direct to consumers, but would rather provide software to cab companies. So, and then you might have the same VC give you conflicting advice at 2 different meetings. I've seen that happen too. So take all that advice in from mentors, write it down in a book. Think about it, let it percolate, but be your own true North Star, and let your customers and consumers be your North Star, and then be willing to throw away their information too, because as Steve Jobs said, the customer doesn't know always what they want, and the customer can't predict something new and truly innovative in the world. They're not going to describe, consumers were not describing the iPhone and the app ecosystem to Steve Jobs before it existed. They had to show that to people and explain to them why this was important in the world, right? Google Glass and all these AR glasses and virtual reality glasses. It's not like a consumer says, I really want to see data overlaid in the real world. I mean, some consumers might think that's science fiction. People, William Gibson might say, I really want that. But that's not most people. And so, but when you put on AR glasses, augmented reality glasses, and you see like, wow, they're showing me when I open up the hood of a car what each part of the engine does, and it's like, wow, that's pretty magical, right? I didn't have to have a teacher point to everything or open a manual. It just overlaid all that information. Those are like those big blue ocean kind of innovative things. So you have to know when to throw away the mentor stuff. And the mentors, you get what you pay for. So a lot of times you're not paying them, and they're just talking, and anybody can talk. So write it down in a book and then disregard most of it. It's a real honor for me to be in such a deep and meaningful partnership with the team at IBM. My first computer was an IBM PC Junior, and it took me 6 months to convince my dad to save up the money from his bar. And one night, he got home from the bar at 6 or 7 in the morning, and I was annoying him as a 12-year-old. I really want the PC Junior. It's $900. Please get me a PC Junior. And he said, fine. He was kind of half in the bag at the time. And we drove to downtown Manhattan to this computer store on Lower Broadway. I'll never forget it. It was a Saturday morning. He had been out all night Friday. And he had cash. And he walked in and he bought me the IBM PC Junior. And it was the greatest computer. It started me on my journey. And now, wow, it's like 30 years later, and I'm in a deep partnership with IBM. I can pinch myself. Like, it's really just super great to have the recognition of a world-class company like IBM who cares just as much as I do and my team does about supporting founders. So SmartCamp 2015, SmartCamp 2015, smartcamp2015.com. If you're a fan of the show and you appreciate all the work we do at Launch Festival, please go to your local SmartCamp 2015 and encourage entrepreneurs to go to it. And then, of course, you're all my guest, and you're the guest of IBM and Launch at Scale and at the Launch Festival. Couldn't do it without their support, and it's just such a great partnership, and it's just beginning. So thanks again to our friends at IBM, and we'll see you next time on a special Ask Jason episode.